This is Arvind, Department of EEE, DYCT Kavali. So in the previous session we discussed about the swing equation and rotor dynamics. So before going, so here I am explaining swing equation. So in this class I am explaining determination of stability effect. Determination of stability effect. Determination of steady state stability analysis. So here in this class I am going to teach you determination of steady state stability analysis. Actually the steady state stability analysis is used to determine the stability effect of any system. The stability effect of any system. So here the steady state stability analysis is used to determine the stability effect of any system. That is when it is subjected to small disturbances. So let us consider an alternator is supplying an electrical output power, that is PE0. Electrical output power PE0. So here we are having the equation is PE0 is equal to EV by X into sin delta naught. So treat this as first equation. So here the PE0 is equal to EV by X into sin delta naught. So this is from the static model of power system network. I already said that in earlier section, that is here we are taking synchronous generator and one transformer and one transmission line and infinite bus bar. So transformer, synchronous generator and infinite bus bar. So from this is the static model power system network. So by using this system network, so we are having this one P naught is equal to E by X and delta naught. Here E is equal to excitation voltage and V is the internal terminal voltage of the infinite bus bar and X is the transfer reactance and delta is the load angle. So here initially the electrical power, the alternator working at stable condition, that is normal operation at stable condition, that is normal operation at stable condition. So at that condition the mechanical power PM0 and electrical power PE0 is same. So from this equation we said that the output power of the alternator is varies with respect to delta. With respect to delta, that is shown by the diagram, that is shown in the diagram. So here I am taking y-axis, so that is power P and angle delta. So we are drawing an power angle curve. So here the initial delta is delta 1. Here the difference between angles is delta. So PM is equal to PE condition and this is the PE1. So actually from equation 1, that is PE0 is equal to EV by X into sin delta naught. So this is the first equation. So from this equation we said that the electrical output power varies sinusoidal with respect to angle delta. So here we are taking one power angle curve between power and received power and load angle. So here look into this one. So here if there is some increment in the angle, so if there is some increment in the load of an alternator, so it will give the alternator working at the angle delta naught. So here the angle is, if we increase the load of the alternator, so it will increase to angle delta 1. So that will give, here we represent this one with the delta naught and delta 1. And after that, here the mechanical power is equal to electrical output power in the stable condition only, because in the normal condition. But here in this condition, the load angle increases, means here the mechanical power is stay in the constant condition, but the electrical output power increases to PE1. Increases to PE1 and the angle is delta 1. So the difference between the angle, load angle is delta. So here we are taking that, we are representing the indicating power is P1. So for that one we have the acceleration power is decreases. That means the rotor speed is less than the synchronous speed. That is, the rotor speed is less than the synchronous speed, and the difference between these two powers gives delta P. So we already said that the difference between angle is delta delta and the difference between the powers is delta P. So we already know that the string equation, that is m into d square delta by dt square. So we already know that Pa is equal to m into d square delta by dt square. This is the string equation. So this is the second order differential nonlinear equation. For small disturbances, this string equation, that is the nonlinear equation, can be approximated as linear equation. So that is by showing, that is by taking Pa is equal to m into d square delta by dt square. So from the static model, that is Pm naught minus P1 is equal to m into d square delta 1 by dt square. Treat this as a second equation. So from this equation we are separating this one, that is Pe1 is equal to, from the static model of the power network, Ev by x into sin delta 1. So from this one, that is equal to Ev by x into sin delta naught plus delta delta. So because from the power angle curve we are writing that delta delta is equal to delta naught plus delta 1. So from this one, delta 1 is equal to delta delta plus delta naught. So by using this, that is equal to Ev by x into, this is in the sin of a plus b formula. So we know that sin of a plus b is equal to sin a cos b plus cos a sin b. So by taking this formula into this, so here we are having u by x into sin of delta naught plus sin of delta naught into cos delta delta plus cos delta naught into sin delta delta. So from this u by x into, so we are taking that this one as 1. So we are having sin delta naught plus cos delta naught into delta delta. We are writing this equation, rewriting into this equation, that is Ev by x into sin delta naught. Here we are taking the delta naught is equal, that means cos 0 is 1. So that is sin delta naught plus cos delta naught is delta delta. So we already know that Ev by x means P maximum value. So from the static model of the power system network, Pa is equal to P1 is equal to Ev by x into sin delta. So at the maximum power occurs, the delta is equal to, when the maximum power occurs is delta is 90 degrees. So substitute this one is P1 is equal to Ev by x into sin 90 degrees. So that is equal to, it will be Ev by x because sin 90 is 1. So we are having this one, P maximum is equal to Ev by x. So by introducing this, by substituting P maximum value into this one, it will convert to P maximum into sin delta naught plus cos delta naught into delta delta. So from this, so treat this as a third equation and substitute this third equation into second equation. We are having so Pm naught minus, substitute this one into this one, so that gives P maximum into sin delta naught minus P maximum into cos delta naught delta delta, that is equal to m into d square delta 1 by dt square. So from this one we are writing Pm naught minus P maximum sin delta naught minus P maximum cos delta naught delta delta is equal to m into d square into, in delta 1 plus we are substituting delta naught plus delta delta. So from the power angle curve, what we have seen in the previous one. So that is, we are taking Pm naught minus in P maximum into sin delta naught plus we are taking the P naught minus, that is the output electrical power. So that is P maximum into cos delta naught into delta delta. So that is equal to m d square by dt square into delta naught plus delta delta. So here we already know that Pm naught is equal to P naught at stable condition. So substitute this into this one, that means Pm naught minus Pm naught minus P maximum into cos delta naught delta delta, that is equal to m into d square by dt square into. So here we are taking that delta naught is a constant term, so we are eliminating this one and we are having delta delta. So by using this one, so here Pm naught is cancelled, so we are having minus P maximum into cos delta naught into delta delta, that is equal to m d square delta delta by dt square. So from this one we are writing m into d square delta delta by dt square plus P maximum into cos delta naught delta delta is equal to 0. So from this equation we are writing, so let d by dt is equal to s. So here we are assuming some condition, that is d by dt is equal to s. So from this d square by dt square is equal to s square. So substitute these two and come to P maximum into cos delta naught, that is equal to k. So substitute these three conditions into this equation. So it will rewrite as m into s square into delta delta plus k into delta delta, that is equal to 0. So from this one we are writing delta delta, common delta delta value, that is m into s square plus k is equal to 0. So if delta delta is coming to this one, so we are having m s square plus k is equal to 0. From this one, m s square is equal to m s square is equal to minus k. So from s square is equal to minus k by m. So s is equal to minus root of k by m. So that is equal to s is equal to plus or minus root of minus k by m. So by using the above roots, we are telling that the above system is stable. So by using the above roots, we can determine the stability of the system. So here we are taking two conditions, that is case 1 and case 2 by using k value. So here we are having s is equal to plus or minus root of minus k by m. So by using this condition, we have two cases. So by using these two conditions, we are proving that the system is stable. So taking case 1, in this case, when k is positive, the roots are imaginary. So we treat as k, so this one is positive, the roots are imaginary and the power oscillations over the equilibrium portion, that comes under equilibrium portion. So here the damping oscillations are occurring. So by using damping windings, we are damping out those oscillations. So here I am taking one graphical representation, that is, here we are having rotor oscillations. And time t. So we are having so this is undamped system and this is damped system. So by introducing damper winding, so we can damp out the damper winding. So at the infinite time, the time becomes to infinite. So here this is the first condition, and coming to the second condition, I am taking that k value is negative. In case 2, I am taking k is negative. So here the roots are real and unequal. Here the roots are real and unequal. Here the roots are real and unequal. At this condition, the power oscillations moving towards acceleration and deceleration. So that will become the system is unstable. At that condition, when the power oscillations moving towards the acceleration and deceleration, so at that condition the system is unstable. So by using these two conditions, we will determine this one. And coming to second topic in this one, that is improvement methods of steady state stability. Actually, the steady state stability limit under the disturbance is given by P maximum is equal to EV by X. So actually, the power transfer during the disturbance is enhanced by increasing the excitation and decrease the reactance. So by using these two, we enhance the maximum power condition during the disturbances. So some of the methods are available to improve the stability or steady state stability. We are having different methods. Those are, first one is by using bundle conductors, and secondly increasing excitation, and third one is using braking resistors and using HVDC links and using full load rejection technique, and using bypass valving, and coming to seventh, that is using short circuit current limiters, and coming to eighth one, that is using automatic voltage regulators, and coming to last one, using single pole switching. So by using these 9 methods, we have to improve the stability effect or steady state stability effect. So by using, first one is by using bundle conductors. So here by using bundle conductors means the reactance can be reduced by employing the bundle conductors having 2 or more conductors per phase. So by using this one, we have to increase the self GMD value. So by increasing the self GMD value, the inductance value decreases, and at the same time the reactance value also decreases. So if the transmission network is employed conductors, there is no concept of self GMD. So if there is no concept of self GMD means there is an increase in the inductance value and increase in the reactance value. So that is what by using bundle conductors. And coming to increasing excitation, so actually during the disturbances, the power transfer can be enhanced by increasing the excitation of the field winding, which results in the increase in the internal EMFs, and consequently the maximum power transfer between two machines increases. So when the internal EMFs increases, then the load angle decreases. So by using this one, and third one is using braking resistor. So these braking resistors are used to reduce the load of the generator during a fault. So by using braking resistors, we have to reduce the load on the generator, and when the large load on the system is lost or when the fault clearing is interrupted, at that condition we are using this one. So by using this one, we have to maintain the stability in the system. And coming to HVDC links, here by using the large number of HVDC links with the thyristors, we improve the stability. So actually, suppose if we have the fault on one condition, so by using these HVDC links, we are separating the faulty condition into one side, and so this effect, the faulty condition effect, is not affected on the other system. That means we are using HVDC links. By using, we have to improve the stability. And coming to fifth one, using full load rejection technique. So actually, in many cases, in certain cases, it is difficult to maintain the stability. So by using fast valving and different techniques, but by introducing full load rejection technique means the system is reloaded and resynchronized by using this full load rejection technique. And to prove this one, as separate the unit, one unit into separate, and so by using this full load rejection technique, we improve the stability. And coming to bypass valving, so by using bypass valving, we have to decrease the mechanical power to the turbine decreases by increasing the stability. So by using bypass valving, we have to decrease the mechanical power given to the turbine to improve the stability. So by using different techniques, we senses the different speeds of alternator by using bypass valving. So we have to improve the stability. So by using short circuit current limiters, actually the short circuit current limiters, by using short circuit current limiters, we have to limit the short short circuits, and at the same time we have to improve the steady state stability of a system, and by using automatic voltage regulators. So by using these automatic voltage regulators, we have to regulate the voltage. That means we have to maintain the stable operation by using these automatic voltage regulators, and also we have to modify the transfer impedance of the system. So last one is single pole switching. So by using single pole switching, we have to maintain the stability by using, if we take two conditions, that is if one line is faulty condition, so the faulty condition we have to de-energize, because we are taking that faulty condition means, so that will affect the another system. That means we have to separate the faulty condition and healthy line. So by separating those conditions by using single pole switching means, actually why we are taking single pole switching means, in transmission system we are having only one fault, majorly we are having one fault, that is a single ground fault condition. So for that we are taking single pole switching to improve the stability effect of a system, okay, to maintain the stability of a system. Thank you.